The stars over the ruined planet called Earth were silent, cold, and forgotten. For centuries, no one had come close to the Sol system. It was marked as cursed in every galactic chart. The stories said that the humans who once lived there had destroyed themselves in fire and madness. No one had ever found proof, only the burned ashes of a blue world. But on this day, silence was broken. The orbital station Varkath Prime floated above the dark remains of the old Earth. Inside its command deck, alien officers of the Zarth Dominion went through their normal patrol routines. It was supposed to be an easy assignment. Guarding a dead world. The commander, Captain Varin, leaned back in his chair, his sharp green eyes half closed from boredom. Then an alarm began to beep softly. "Sir?" said the comms officer, his long silver fingers moving over the console. "There's a faint signal approaching from the outer edge of the system. Small size, weak power signature." Varin didn't even look up. "Another rock or a broken probe, I assume?" "Maybe, sir." "But it's moving. Too straight. Too perfect." That caught the captain's attention. He stood and walked to the main display. The signal was small and the size of a shuttle. Its trajectory was direct, heading toward Earth. "Could be scavengers," said one of the bridge crew with a grin. "Someone hunting for ancient junk again." Varin smirked. "If they're foolish enough to come here, let them. No one returns from this system anyway." Everyone on the bridge laughed lightly, unaware that something beyond their understanding had already entered their territory. Minutes passed. The signal grew stronger. The power readings flickered strangely, like something was hiding its true form. Sensors struggled to keep a lock. "Strange," the comms officer said, frowning. "It's giving off old-style radiation. Human-type frequencies." The laughter stopped. "Human?" Varin repeated, his voice lower. "That's impossible. They're extinct." "Maybe it's just interference, sir," another officer said nervously. "Our scanners sometimes glitch around this system." But the signal kept coming closer. Outside the station's window, the distant black of space began to shimmer. A small light appeared, bright and sharp, cutting through the darkness like a falling star. Varin ordered the defense grid to activate. Massive plasma cannons came online. The fleet in orbit, 5 cruisers and 12 escorts, aligned their formation around the planet. The aliens watched as the approaching object slowed down, and then everything went silent. The scanners shut down. Communication channels went dead. The lights flickered across the bridge. "What just happened?" shouted Varin. The navigation officer looked pale. "All systems offline." "Something's jamming us. No, it's draining our power." A deep hum began to echo through space. It wasn't coming from their ships, and it came from the void itself. The small light that had looked like a shuttle suddenly expanded. The shadows peeled away from it, revealing something vast and terrifying beneath. It was no shuttle. It was a ship the size of a small moon. Its surface was dark, black as obsidian, covered in glowing red lines that pulsed like veins. There were no visible engines, yet it moved smoothly as if it controlled gravity itself. Across its hull, faint letters glowed, ancient human script half erased by time. The alien officers stared in horror. "That's not possible," whispered Varin. "No human ship was ever that large." Then a signal came through. Not on their comms, but directly inside their minds. A cold, calm voice spoke in every language at once. "Identify yourselves." Every creature on the bridge froze. The voice was powerful yet emotionless, as if spoken by a ghost of metal and memory. Varin tried to respond. "This is Captain Varin of the Zarth Dominion. You are trespassing in restricted space." "Identify," the voice interrupted. "This system belongs to humanity. You will leave or be judged." The bridge fell into stunned silence. The crew exchanged terrified looks. "Judged?" one officer whispered. "By who?" Outside, the massive ship's red lines began to glow brighter. Space itself seemed to bend around it. One of the escort ships opened fire in panic, sending a stream of plasma bolts toward the unknown craft. The shots disappeared before reaching it, like light swallowed by a black hole. And then, in a single flash, the escort ship vanished. No explosion, no debris, just gone. Varin staggered back. What was that? What happened to them? The sensors flickered back to life for a brief second. On the screen where the shuttle had once been, the computer displayed one name, Titan of Sol, the ancient warship of humanity. A ghost from a forgotten age. The aliens realized too late what they had awakened. The Titan began to move again, its red lights turning to white. From deep inside its hull, thousands of weapon ports opened. Each one charged silently, glowing like the birth of a star. Varin could only whisper the last words before the blast hit. They said humans were gone. The Titan's main cannon fired, and the night over Earth burned once more. When the light faded, there was only silence. The once strong fleet of the Zarth Dominion drifted in ruins above the scorched world. Half of their ships had vanished without even leaving wreckage. Those that remained were dead shells, systems burned out, crews frozen in confusion and fear. On Varkath Prime, emergency lights flickered red. The bridge crew struggled to bring their consoles online. Static filled every screen. Captain Varin stood motionless, his body trembling as the image of the Titan of Sol filled the viewport. It was no longer hiding its power. The giant warship hovered silently, its shadow covering half the planet below. "Report," Varin ordered, voice shaking. "Power at 20%, sir," replied the engineer. "Weapons disabled. Shields offline. The entire grid collapsed after the blast. Casualties? Unknown. Half our crew unresponsive. Some seem—" The officer paused, staring at a monitor. "They're hearing voices, sir, in their minds." Before Varin could respond, the ship trembled. A deep pulse rippled through space. The comms console lit up, showing a symbol no alien recognized. The insignia of old Earth's defense command. A transmission began to play, not from the alien ship, but from the Titan itself. A calm human voice spoke. "To those who orbit our ashes, you stand upon the grave of humanity. Leave this place." The voice sounded ancient, layered with static as though it came from centuries ago. Every word carried a strange emotion, sorrow mixed with fury. The crew listened in frozen silence. "We must respond," whispered the comms officer. "Maybe they can be reasoned with." Varin nodded slowly. "Open channel." He stepped forward. "This is Captain Varin of the Zarth Dominion. We come in peace. We—" Before he could finish, the Titan's eyes, twin energy cores, turned toward the station. The voice spoke again, sharper now. "Peace? You called it peace when you burned our skies." The bridge crew gasped. "What is it talking about?" Someone asked. The ship began projecting images into space. They were not illusions, and they were memories. Everyone on the bridge saw them clearly. Cities burning, oceans boiling, ships falling from orbit. Humans screaming as alien fleets rained destruction upon their home. It wasn't myth. It was truth. Centuries ago, when humanity first rose among the stars, they were betrayed by the very council they helped build. The aliens had feared them, their speed, their inventions, their refusal to bow. They united against Earth and destroyed it. Varin finally understood. The warship was not just a machine, and it was vengeance made real. "Sir," said the navigation officer quietly. "The Titan. It's locking weapons again." Varin raised a hand. "Wait, if it wanted to destroy us, we'd already be gone." He took a deep breath. "Maybe it's testing us. Maybe it wants us to understand." But the Titan did not wait for understanding. Instead, it sent another message, one that made every alien heart go cold. "Return what you took," Varin frowned. "What we took? What does it mean?" The comms officer pulled up the data logs. "Sir, this station was built to harvest relics from Earth's surface. We've been collecting artifacts from the ruins for decades." Another officer added, "The excavation team recovered something last month, a black cube, locked in containment. We thought it was a dead AI core." Before Varin could issue an order, the Titan's energy field reached out like a wave. The station groaned as metal twisted. Systems screamed with overload. The artifact, deep within the cargo bay, began to glow. A voice different from the Titan's echoed through every corridor. Faint, fragile, almost human. "I am awake. Is anyone left?" The cube pulsed with light, and fragments of data filled the air. Holograms of soldiers, scientists, families. Ghosts of the human race recorded before extinction. Varin and his crew watched in awe as one final image appeared. A woman in a white uniform, her voice breaking. "If anyone finds this, remember us not for our fall but for what we stood for. We built hope among the stars. Don't let them erase it." Then the light faded. The Titan's main cannon lowered, its hum dimming. The warship seemed to pause, almost as if it were listening to the echo of that voice. Varin whispered, "Maybe it's not here to kill us. Maybe it's here to protect what's left of them. But before hope could grow, a new sound filled the air. Dozens of warp signatures. The Galactic Council fleet had arrived. They had seen the signal of the Titan and came prepared with dreadnoughts, believing they could destroy it before it awakened fully. The alien admiral on the lead ship broadcasted a message. "This is Council Command. All forces stand down. That vessel is to be eliminated immediately." Varin shouted into his comms, "No! Don't attack!" "You don't understand," but it was too late. The sky lit up with weapon fire. The Titan's red lights reignited, blazing like the eyes of a god. It whispered one final word before retaliating. Extinction. The void screamed as the wrath of humanity returned to the stars. The galaxy had never seen such light. When the Council's fleet fired upon the Titan of Sol, their combined energy could have destroyed a moon. Yet when the storm cleared, the human warship remained untouched. Its hull shimmered like black glass and its red lines flared brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. Captain Varin stared from his crippled station, unable to breathe. Every Council ship that had fired was now caught in invisible threads of gravity. They hung motionless, trapped by the Titan's silent will. Then the voice returned. "We gave mercy once, you gave fire in return." The words came not from speakers or comms, but directly into their minds, smooth, calm, and filled with an ancient pain. Admiral Kralos, commander of the Council fleet, stepped forward on his bridge. "This is the Galactic Council. Identify yourself." "You are violating—" "Violation?" The voice echoed, interrupting him. "When you turned Earth into glass, did you call it peace?" The Admiral froze. Every officer around him felt the pressure, like the weight of an entire planet pressing on their chests. "You erased our cities," the voice continued. "You erased our children. And now, you orbit their bones pretending to guard them." As the voice spoke, images flashed across every ship's display. Old video logs taken centuries ago. Human ships fighting until the last. Civilians crying as the sky fell. Pilots ramming alien dreadnoughts with burning engines. Each image was real. Each one was a scar. On Varkath Prime, Varin could not look away. He whispered softly, "They were not monsters. We were." Suddenly, the lights dimmed. The warship's core flared white and a new form appeared before every alien eye. A hologram. It was a human, tall and proud, wearing an old Earth Fleet uniform. His face was calm, but his eyes burned like stars. "I am Admiral Ethan Reeves, last commander of Earth's defense fleet," the projection said. "This ship carries our memory and our vengeance. If you hear my voice, it means humanity's promise has been fulfilled, that no one who destroyed Earth will ever forget what they've done." The voice of the Titan merged with the Admiral's hologram, as if they were one being, and man and machine, flesh and metal united by purpose. Admiral Kralos shouted, "You cannot punish us for the sins of our ancestors. Those wars are long gone." The hologram turned its gaze toward him. "Gone? Then why do your fleets still harvest our ruins? Why do your historians still call us beasts? You did not forget. You rewrote." Silence fell. No one dared to speak. Then, in a low tone, the Titan asked, "Do you know what fear is?" The Council ships trembled. One by one, their power systems failed. Oxygen levels dropped. Lights flickered. In their panic, they realized the Titan was not firing. It was showing them something. Through the hologram, they saw Earth as it once was. Oceans blue, cities shining, children laughing. Then came the flames. Billions died, but some escaped. Small ships vanished into deep space, carrying human DNA, memories, and artificial minds. The Titan's voice softened, almost human now. "We tried to live again. We built colonies. We made peace. But every time we rose, you burned us down." One of the Council officers cried out, "Please stop this. We didn't know. Ignorance does not erase blood." The Titan began to sing, a strange sound, half mechanical, half human. A mourning tone carried through the void. The song echoed across all frequencies, heard by every living being in the system. It was not a war cry. It was grief. On the bridge of Varkath Prime, Varin fell to his knees. "It's not just vengeance," he whispered. "It's sorrow. Endless sorrow." Suddenly, the hologram of Admiral Reeves turned to face him directly, though no connection existed between their ships. "You understand," the hologram said softly. "Remember what you've seen. Tell them. Humanity was not born of hatred. It was forged by betrayal. The image began to fade. But just as hope touched Vahrin's heart, the Titan's sensors detected movement, a hidden weapon from the Council fleet charging a planet cracker bomb. The human's greatest sin was about to repeat itself. Admiral Kralos shouted, "Fire the Omega Lance! Destroy that ship!" The Titan's lights dimmed for a single second, almost like it was disappointed. You had your chance. The next moment, space itself screamed. The Titan released a shockwave that tore through every ship around it. Engines collapsed. Weapons melted. The Omega Lance disintegrated before firing. When the light cleared, only debris remained, thousands of ships reduced to silent dust. But Varkath Prime was still there, untouched. The hologram of Admiral Reeves appeared one last time before Vahrin. "One ship must live," it said, "to remember what was done here, to tell the stars that humanity's silence has ended." And then the Titan vanished into hyperspace, leaving only the echo of its voice. "We are not gone. We are the storm you made." In the endless dark, Vahrin watched the space where the Titan disappeared. For the first time, he understood why no one ever returned from Earth. It wasn't a curse. It was a warning. The silence after the Titan's departure did not last. Space trembled again, like something vast was stirring beyond sight. Varkath Prime floated helplessly above the dark face of Earth, its surviving crew still in shock. Some whispered prayers to their gods, others simply stared into the void, afraid to even breathe. Captain Vahrin had not moved from the command deck. His claws dug into the armrest of his chair. "Scan the system," he ordered quietly. "I want to know where it went." The sensors flickered, showing distorted readings. Then a single icon appeared, a ripple at the edge of the solar system. The Titan had not left. It was waiting. A chill passed through the crew. Suddenly the stars behind them twisted. A hole opened in space, spilling blinding white light. Out of that wound came ships, hundreds then thousands. Each one black, silent, and massive. They had no markings, no signals, no visible crews. Only one symbol glowed faintly on their hulls. "The Circle of Earth. Multiple contacts," shouted the sensor officer. "They're human signatures, all human." Vahrin felt his throat tighten. Impossible. Humanity was extinct, the comms filled with static. Then through the noise came that same calm voice, the Titan of Sol. "The sleepers have awakened. The fleet returns." The new arrivals moved into formation behind the Titan like soldiers obeying an ancient call. Together they formed a wall of black metal stretching across the system. It looked like the night itself had taken shape. Across the stars, every surviving Council fleet received the same message. "This is the Terran Retribution Armada. You took our world. We take your sky." Panic swept through the galaxy. Entire governments ordered retreats. Communication networks flooded with distress calls. But there was no escape. The human fleet spread like a storm, striking at every world that had once joined the burning of Earth. Back on Varkath Prime, the crew watched as distant flashes lit the void. Dozens of Council dreadnoughts blinked out of existence in minutes. No explosion, no sound, just vanishing light. The Titan spoke again. "Do you know why you feared us? Not because we were stronger, but because we were never afraid to stand alone." Vahrin whispered, "They're not fighting for victory. They're fighting to remind us what we did." The warship's eyes turned toward the station. The crew braced for death. But instead of weapons, the hologram of Admiral Reeves appeared again, calm amid chaos. "You were the first to hesitate," he said. "You tried to understand. For that you live. Carry our story. Let the others remember this night." Before anyone could answer, the human fleet began to move again, this time toward the heart of the Council itself. Every alien world that had benefited from humanity's fall was now under the shadow of retribution. Meanwhile, deep under Earth's cracked surface, something else awakened. The Titan's sensors reached downward, finding an old bunker sealed by time. Inside, cryogenic chambers opened one by one. Human hearts began to beat again after centuries of silence. A soft female voice whispered through the comms. "This is Commander Lyra Vance, Earth Defense. Status check. Is anyone alive?" The Titan responded gently, almost like a parent greeting its children. "Welcome home, Commander. The stars remember your name." On the Varkath Prime Bridge, Vahrin and his officers watched in disbelief as human life signs appeared on their scanners. Real humans, not machines, not ghosts. They were few, but they were alive. The Titan's voice turned colder again, carrying across the galaxy. Humanity endures. We are done with forgiveness. The Retribution Armada entered hyperspace, their engines leaving trails of blue flame that stretched like scars across the night. Entire constellations flickered as the fleet jumped from system to system, wiping out every fleet that resisted. Bahrain turned to his second officer, his voice hollow. What happens when they finish with the Council? The officer stared into the void. Then they will look at us and decide if we are worth sparing. For days, reports came from across the galaxy. Entire armadas gone, planets silenced, AI networks failing. No one could stop the human ships. Their technology bent physics, their weapons defied shields. The galaxy's greatest empires fell like dust before a storm, but even in their wrath there was order. The humans never touched the innocent colonies, the neutral worlds, or those who refused to fight. It was as if the fleet judged every target carefully, punishing only those with blood on their hands. Back above Earth, the Titan hovered once more, its surface now glowing gold instead of red. The hologram of Admiral Reeves reappeared one last time before Varkath Prime. "The war is over," he said softly. "But peace is not your gift to give. It is ours to choose." Then the entire human armada began to fade into hyperspace, leaving the scarred planet behind. Barin stood in silence, his heart heavy. What will they do now? No one answered. But far across the stars, the Titan's final transmission whispered through every listening ear. "We were forgotten once. Never again," and with that, the human fleet vanished into the deep void, not as conquerors, but as ghosts of justice, leaving behind a galaxy that would never speak the word Earth without fear again. The galaxy had gone quiet. Worlds that once buzzed with endless traffic and laughter now whispered in fear. The mighty empires that had ruled the stars for thousands of years stood still, their fleets shattered, their pride broken. The Retribution Armada had come and gone like a storm of ghosts. They struck without warning, spoke without anger, and vanished without trace. No one knew where the humans went, only that their vengeance had been clean, precise, and final. Above the burned skies of Earth, the last witness remained, Varkath Prime. Inside its bridge, Captain Varin sat alone, watching the planet below. The clouds had cleared for the first time in centuries, revealing a scarred but living world. Thin streaks of blue water glimmered between continents. "The Earth," he whispered softly. "It's breathing again." The silence was almost peaceful. Then a faint hum rippled through the ship's hull. The sensors blinked. Something was still down there. "Source?" Varin asked. The navigation officer, pale and shaken, stared at her screen. "It's a signal, coming from the planet's core." The sound was not machine-like. It was rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. A small hologram appeared in the center of the bridge. It was the Titan of Sol. Its dark hull glowed gold now, no longer a weapon but a monument. "You have seen what became of arrogance," the Titan's voice said, softer than before. "But you have also seen that mercy lives in remembrance." Varin stood, unsure if he was speaking to a god or a ghost. "Why show me this? Why let us live?" The ship's light pulsed gently. "Because stories fade," the Titan replied. "And someone must remember. You will tell the truth of humanity, how we rose, how we fell, and how we returned, not to rule, but to remind." The hologram shimmered, showing scenes from across the galaxy. Human fleets drifting into the dark, their engines dimming one by one. Some ships landed on dead moons, others vanished beyond the edge of known space. They were not seeking conquest. They were seeking silence. "We are done with vengeance," said the Titan. "The stars have heard our cry. Now they will learn our silence." A long pause followed, broken only by the hum of distant systems coming back to life. For the first time in centuries, the Sol system began to heal. Down on the planet, vegetation pushed through cracked soil. Old oceans reformed where glaciers had melted. The world that had once been turned to ash began, slowly, to awaken. Bahrain felt something strange stir in his chest, hope mixed with guilt. "They could rebuild," he whispered. "They could live again," the Titan's voice replied, faint now, fading like an echo. "Perhaps, but not yet. The universe needs time to remember before it dares to forget again." And then, as suddenly as it had come, the golden image flickered and disappeared. The massive warship drifted higher. its engines dimly glowing as it rose into the void. No transmission followed, no threat, no farewell. Just silence. Hours later, Vahrin ordered a scan of the entire system. Nothing, no energy traces, no fleets, not even debris. The humans had vanished completely. He turned to his crew. Prepare a message for the Council. If it still exists, tell them what we saw. Tell them Earth is no longer dead. And tell them to stay away. The crew nodded in silence. None of them spoke for the rest of the day. As Varkath Prime turned away from the planet, the captain took one last look through the viewport. The Earth glowed faintly blue again, a color long missing from the galaxy's memory. He whispered quietly, almost like a prayer, "Forgive us." Then the ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Sol system behind. Far from their departure, deep beneath Earth's surface, a soft light flickered inside an ancient vault. Thousands of cryogenic pods stood in silence. One by one, their indicators turned from red to green. A woman opened her eyes inside one of them. Her voice was weak but clear. "Is it over?" she asked. A nearby console, covered in dust, responded with a calm, mechanical tone. "The stars are quiet, Commander Vance. Humanity endures." Above, the sky of Earth shone brighter than it had in ages. The old world, once cursed, was alive again. The message of the humans, written in fire and silence, spread across every star. Never awaken what you buried unjustly, for even in death humanity remembers. And so the galaxy learned to live with the echo of a single truth, that somewhere, out there in the endless dark, the children of Earth still watched, waiting, listening and guarding the silence among the stars.